Breaking news tonight, the U.S. Supreme Court sides with the Democratic election officials in the Ohio voter registration dispute. This is a very hot topic in this election. We've been following it very closely. The justices overruling today a federal appeals court order that requires an expanded system to verify voter registration in the state to make sure that people are who they say they are. Fox's Hanninburg is with us at the Supreme Court now with details for us. Hi, Molly.
Hi, Martha. It's important what the justices did not say today. They did not comment on whether the federal law on voter eligibility and registration is being complied with in Ohio. They didn't comment on that. What they decided is that the law does not appear to allow a private entity, such as the Ohio Republican Party, to file a suit to enforce that the law is followed. And so in that way, they sided with Ohio's Secretary of State and Democrat Jennifer Brunners. Brunner had been ordered by an appeals court to set up a system by today to send a list of 200,000 newly and updated registered voters to Ohio's 88 counties. These are the voters whose driver's license numbers or social security numbers don't match other government records, so they would have been given provisional ballots on Election Day until their eligibility would have been confirmed. The Ohio GOP said that would help prevent voter fraud. Brunner argued it would intimidate voters because in some cases there were errors, she says, because of data entry problems. After today's Supreme Court decision, Brunner said in a statement, quote, "Our nation's highest court has protected the voting rights of all Ohioans, allowing our bipartisan election officials to continue preparing for a successful November election." She goes on to say, "I ask all involved to stop the legal maneuvers that unnecessarily shake public confidence." Now, the Ohio GOP also responded to the Supreme Court's decision in a statement saying, quote, "This decision was made on a technicality, not on the merits of the case. We are again calling on the Secretary of State to comply with federal law by providing clear instructions to election administrators on how to handle questionable voter registration forms." All 200,000 of them, it appears, Martha. Another reason why Ohio is going to be watched very closely on November 4th.
Well, Molly, thank you very much. So what about all of these mismatched records? Does this mean this election could end up being contested? Wall Street Journal columnist John Fund is here. He's the author of the book Stealing Elections. He's been covering this entire case for us. How important is this decision today? How much does it set back what you have been fighting for?
Well, Ohio was the deciding state in 2004, could be again this year, decided by 100,000 votes. We have 200,000 registered voters here that at first glance, they can't match them up with driver's license and social security records.
200,000. We should point out that there are elections that have been, in the thousands, even in the hundreds.
I suspect a majority of those ultimately will match, but it raises cause for suspicion. All the county officials wanted the Secretary of State to do is give us the information, we'll do the check. Now, I'm always suspicious of government officials who don't want to reveal information, especially to fellow officials further down the line. In this case, I think Secretary Brunner is erring on the side of letting everything go when it comes to voting and not providing sufficient ballot integrity. You can have both. We can protect the civil right to vote. We can also protect the civil right that all of your viewers have, not to have their vote canceled out by someone who shouldn't be voting, someone who's voting twice, or someone who doesn't even exist. And ACORN registrants, the people who have been fraudulently registered, it has been proven that a couple of them have already cast early absentee votes and had those votes thrown out. So we do know that voter registration fraud can lead to voter fraud. It has already happened in Ohio.
So those votes were thrown out?
They were caught. But the worry is that some of these 200,000 will be ineligible registrants. Some of them might vote, and some of those will not be counted, and they will not be caught.
Let's take a look at what John McCain had to say about this decision today. We're going to bring up that quote. It said, it remains our belief that American citizens should be guaranteed that their legitimate votes are not wiped away by illegally cast ballots. What is no longer in question is the partisan nature of Jennifer Brunners' efforts to minimize the level of fairness and transparency in this election. Now, it raises the question. That's from Rick Davis, who is the McCain-Palin campaign manager. Why wouldn't she want to do everything possible to, shed as much light on this as she possibly could so that she could never be criticized for not having done so?
Well, her argument is that if you force these people to cast provisional votes, it casts a shadow over their vote. They may be intimidated from voting. Well, lots of people cast provisional votes. Anytime there's a problem in someone's registration, they are handed a provisional ballot. It doesn't mean they're treated like a second-class citizen. It just says we have to go back after the election, verify that your ballot is accurate, and then count it. I don't think it casts aspersions on anyone to give them a provisional ballot. It just means we have to check your record.
Yeah. It seems like there ought to be a much easier way to handle all of this. Let's take a look at what ACORN had to say today, which is also catching the attention of lots of folks. This is from ACORN, a woman named Maud Hurd, the ACORN president. We call on the McCain campaign to directly answer whether they, the Republican Party, or their operatives have been conspiring with the Bush administration to misuse the Justice Department in order to suppress voter turnout in 2008. And that's from the ACORN president. Your thoughts on that, John?
Well, when ACORN's offices were raided in Nevada, the Democratic Secretary of State said to ACORN's complaints like that, he said, they sound like bank robbers complaining they were arrested only because the authorities had nothing better to do. This is about the integrity of the ballot box. There is now an FBI investigation. They are trying to distract from that investigation by simply raising a smokescreen. Let's see what the FBI investigation finds.
Right.
If ACORN has nothing to hide, we'll find out soon enough.
Yeah, exactly. John Fund, as always, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good to talk to you tonight.